Good evening. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Man Cave. It is that time of week once again. Brother Jeff
How dare.
and Tanya, what's up? It's that time. Bourbon time, Mike. Good to have you with us again tonight. Oh boy. Uh, I'm ready for my bourbon. Jeff, you having a drink with us tonight?
Yes, I am.
Another Mike. Good evening. I'm gonna have a pour tonight of the Knob Creek single barrel reserve. This bottle's getting a little low, and I think this one is probably going to become one of the ones I keep on hand all the time. It's a pretty good barrel proof bourbon that's not one that really breaks the bank. Boater, good deal. Scott, welcome aboard. If you're having a drink with us tonight, let us know what you're having and where. So, Jeff, what did you say you were drinking? Heaven Hill?
I'm heaven hell.
Yeah. Tanya, did you get the coffee rolling?
I did not because I
No.
have to get up early in the
Early.
morning because I have an
Oh yeah,
early morning department meeting. So
that's right.
instead, I am being super bougie and I made some spa water.
Spa water. Okay.
Yeah.
Bougie. I like bougie. All right. Cheers, everybody. Happy
Cheers.
Thursday.
Cheers.
This is my second bourbon this week, by the way. I had bourbon Monday night. I had another pour out of that huge bottle of Eagle Rare Monday night. I don't often have two bourbon weeks anymore. I've been just having bourbon only on Thursday night. That's why this bottle collection behind me is not running out any quicker. I need to drink more. Let's start a drinking club, Jeff. Let's have a drinking podcast or a drinking live stream on Monday night.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
Uh,
Tanya says, no, not another night. Don't make me do another night.
see, Monday night's kind of like Saturday. Well, Monday night's my Saturday night because I've come off the weekend shift, so it's a good night for me to drink. And plus, it helps me get back on my regular sleep schedule. Some Stag Junior. I don't want to hear it. Talk
When you get a
about
little older,
bougie.
John, you'll have that sleep schedule.
Tanya, your bougie just got Trump, I believe.
Well,
Carl, glad you could make it with us.
I think sometimes I think about what I would do, how people talk about living their best lives and all this other
Yeah,
stuff. And I'm sitting here going, damn, I work too much to live a best life. But I think in my best life, I would always keep me a little, pitcher of water with fruit floating in it in the refrigerator.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
Yeah. That's why I love to go
Stag
to
Junior.
places like Sur La Top. They've got the big thing and they've got
Yeah,
ice in it. And they give you this tiny little cup. And I mean, I'm the person that's like circling the store, getting the cups, sipping the cup, then going back and getting more.
Mm.
boy.
Yeah. So, anyway,
Carrie checking in from Iowa. Nice.
yeah.
And Russ. A red wine tonight for Russ. Good deal. Oh,
Oh, look who's going to join us. It's Lily.
I learned something about Lily this week. Her daddy was a skunk, and her mother smelled of dingleberries.
John, you can tell your mother's not on the program tonight.
Oh
Well, y'all,
boy.
you just have no idea. He told the vet last week that Lily smoked and drank all the time.
She does. She's a red.
That she smoked Marlboro Reds and she drinks Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I told the vet if I could get her to quit smoking, everything would be a lot better.
He lies
He doesn't
about
know.
this cat all the time.
He doesn't know. The vet doesn't know that her daddy was a skunk. Maybe
Hmm.
that's part of her problem.
Well,
Just don't
Sonny's
listen.
doing good in his boarding school.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he's on vacation.
Yeah, he's in
Is he
boarding
getting
school.
getting Manny and the Patty?
Now he's getting educated.
All right. Well,
When he comes
I
home,
just
he's going to be a
realized
whole
that I was
different
supposed
dog.
to check my messenger. Sorry, Jeff. Let me tell you what, I have got the like mental like withedness of, like an amoeba.
yeah,
The
Well,
closer it gets to the end of the semester, the more it
yeah.
goes.
All right,
the only
Tanya, we'll
room
bring you back in
anymore
a
that
little
I
bit.
walk into and I can remember why I'm there is the bathroom.
Yeah, Tanya, we'll bring you back here in a bit.
Alrighty, have fun.
All right. So, how was the cooking week, Jeff?
Cooking week was good. Did a lot out on the different grills.
My rotisserie for the Huntsman rolled in today. I haven't taken it out of the box yet, but it's here. So I'm kind of looking forward to putting that thing on and checking it out. It's probably not going to happen till next week at this point.
It's about a 15-minute install. It's real easy.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to hooking it up and checking it out. I've got that rack of pork that I'm going to spin on it at some point. I'll probably just for fun do a chicken on it also, maybe. I got to sort this out. This is a grill where I don't know the personality. I don't know how it's going to behave. I've got to look at it with the rotisserie on there and see where I'm going to put my charcoal for optimum cooking. This is one of these situations. The rotisserie, I don't like to put a whole lot of charcoal in there. I like to have kind of just the right amount from my experience of doing it on the Kamado Joe, and then add coal as I need it.
Well, when I did that big turkey cook, John, I put a little in the front and a little in the back, only because the turkey was so big, and that worked out real well. I had enough warmth for the whole cook. I'm
trying to decide if I'm going to use the fan or use the venom with the rotisserie or not. I haven't figured that out yet either. Because I'm oddball when it comes to rotisserie cooking. I like to do it with the lid open. Nobody else wants to do that, and I like to run it with the lid open. So if I run it with the lid open and have the fan running, I've kind of got to stay with it. I've kind of got to watch it.
Because or it'll get away from me.
It won't get away from me if I don't have too much coal in there, but I'm going to have to add coal to keep it going. So
that's what I was referring to about getting away from you. You're gonna burn through some coal quick.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I like the rotisserie results I was getting no more than I did it on the Kamado Joe doing it with the lid open. That tweaks people though. That people it's just one of these things where they don't know what temperature they're cooking at when you cook with the lid open. It's all about just watching it. I could put one of these RFX probes. That might be a good chance also to test that out. Put one of these RFX probes in that pork loin.
Yep.
While
I used the
cooking.
chef temp in the turkey. That worked out real well.
Yeah. So
that chef temp is pretty impressive, really.
Right. I used the RFX overnight with the I cooked on the Lone Star grill last night. I cooked a pork butt. I'll show you a picture of it a little bit later on. But Food Line in my area has the pork butts on sale right now again for 99 cents a pound. And that sale should have just started yesterday. Their sales run Wednesday through Tuesday. So if you've got a Food Line near you, it'd be a good time to look for pork butts at 99 cents a pound. I bought one that weighed, I don't know, it's 10.5 pounds almost. I like getting the bigger ones. If I'm going to cook one, I want to get the biggest one I can get.
Yep.
And that one did pretty good.
We don't get those sales down here.
No.
Yep. And
I've got a,
what's really bad, John, is like I'll go to Publix in Georgia, and like the prime rib. Give you a typical example. The prime rib in Georgia was $6.99 a pound. It was $7.99 a pound here. Now
right.
Publix is based here in Florida. Why am I not getting the better price?
Yeah. Did your Publix run any deals on prime rib over Easter?
No, they did not.
Well, the only sale I saw, if it was a sale at all, was $11.99 a pound at ours,
Oh, because
which
I was
is
looking
not.
forward to picking up a new one. They had hams
Yeah.
on sale, but they did not have any prime rib.
Well, they had some standing rib roasts at mine for $11.99 a pound. I looked at them. Tanya and I were at Publix one night. Actually, it was earlier this week. I don't remember which night it was. It might have been Monday, but I had a look, and that's what they had. They only had two left in the case, but they were $11.99 a pound, which is not bad, but it's not what I like to get.
No, definitely not what I like. Yeah, I like $6.99 a pound if I can swing it.
Yep.
I say
Rex
beef
says
is
it's
just
good.
getting ridiculous. I mean, I buy the hamburger every now and then. I get hamburger at Publix at a good price. If you
Yep.
buy the bigger packages, you get
Yep.
4 pounds for the price of two.
Yep. Rex says cooking with the lid open, I should just cook over an open fire. That's another one of the reasons I like to cook with the lid opens, because I can throw a wood chunk in there and it'll ignite and burn with visible flame while it's going on. And that's the best way to get the use and get the right kind of smoke out of a wood chunk, is to burn it with that visible flame rather than letting it smolder. It's the same thing that's going on in an offset. And I've done that before. And I have experimented with just using wood and doing that in the Kamado, but it requires maintenance. It's kind of like, why bother doing that in a Kamado? If I wanted to do that, I ought to just bought an offset to begin with. But it's one of these situations, we've all been through it, where we want to see what we can get away with on the Kamado grill. So I've done it. I've cooked with just wood chunks in the Kamado before, but you got to have the visible flame, because the wood chunks without charcoal won't smolder by themselves. You got to have the charcoal with them to make them go.
Well, using the wood
Unless,
chunks in the Master Belt Gravity series, like I do, which layer of
yeah,
lump, layer of wood chunks, layer of lump, layer of wood chunks, it produces an absolute fantastic profile. But the cleanup afterwards from the damn creosote, oh
yeah.
geez, it's a
Well,
mess.
a lot of people, when that system first came out, I saw a lot of people cooking with just wood chunks. They would
Yep,
put
splits in.
about a 2-inch layer or 3-inch layer of hardwood lump in and get it going and get that hot. And they would just put wood chunks in on top of it and finish their cook with just wood chunks, which, I don't know. To me, that's an expensive cook in terms of fuel compared to what it would be with just charcoal, unless you're making your own wood chunks, which a lot of people do. It's not impossible to have your own wood. And in fact, this is something I probably need to go look at. My father-in-law just had a hickory tree taken out of his yard, or he didn't have it taken out. He had it cut down and he sawed it up. And what I want to do is I want to go over there and look at his wood pile and get, I don't know, 15 or 20 limb pieces off of it that are about arm size, and chop it down where I can get myself a little bit of a stash of hickory, because that tree just came down a couple weeks ago, and there's a lot of hickory there. He's got it cut up and split. And he's ultimately going to burn it in his wood stove. Probably it'll be ready to burn by the winter. But anyway,
Well, the
that's enough about that.
The post oak that
Yeah,
I get is I cut down the splits that are in the
right.
box for the alpha oven, which gives me
Yep.
about a 2-3 inch chunk. So I got a bucket full of those.
Yep. All right. Before we get started, once again, I want to thank those of you that have continued to provide donations. I haven't been putting the screen up here about donations lately, because I've been getting enough. I'm just going to toss it up here quickly this evening. once again, I just take small donations from people, and all of this money goes towards the cost of subscribing to this StreamYard software for the most part. And any of it that is left over, if there's any left over, I use toward the things that we cook or that we evaluate here and do demos on the program. And I've even though I haven't been putting this screen up lately, I've still got, a few people sending small donations in. And once again, I just wanted to say I do appreciate that. Your donations are much appreciated. So with that, let's get on into what we were going to talk about tonight, which is part 2 of the Oklahoma onion burgers. Last week, my Oklahoma onion burger, I went off the rails with the process, and what I came up with wasn't that good. I mean, it was edible, but it wasn't that good. So Jeff's looked good, but we decided we'd do it again this week, at least so I could have a chance to come up with something that's more like what it was supposed to be. So, and let's have a look here with Jeff's. Jeff and I both went with the hand slicing of onions. I think Jeff sliced his. Did you slice yours by hand last time, Jeff?
No, I used the mandolin.
Yeah, that's right. You had that in the picture, but we both went with hand slicing the onions to get them even thinner this week. So
yeah, you can see on that picture there how thin I had it sliced.
Yeah, there's another one here that shows it as well. You can practically see through these onions, and I went with the same angle you did here, Jeff. I cut my onion. I sliced my onion. I cut the top off of it, left the root on, and sliced it vertically down the middle from right through the root,
Mm-hmm.
and then peeled it off. And I went down and sliced it the exact same method you have here. And we'll see mine here in a minute. But what kind of beef are you using this time?
I'm using 80-20 this route. And I put everything into 3.6 ounce pad or balls, with the exception of that one to the left, which was for the dog.
Yeah.
I made him a bigger ball. So I smashed them on the grill, put the onions on, smashed the onions into the burgers.
Yeah.
And that griddle is running right at 727 degrees.
That's hot.
So
that makes a quick cook.
It was it was hard to keep up with, because you got to get the burgers on, get them smashed,
Right.
season them, get the onions on. Time to get the onions on, it's time to flip them.
Yeah.
So the next picture should be them flipped.
How do you like that? You still really like that griddle?
I'll tell you what, I love that griddle,
Yeah.
John. That's the only thing that is keeping me on the fence as far as getting a dedicated griddle.
Have you tried running that yet on the Huntsman, just for shits and giggles? I know it's not going to cover the whole area, but would it work?
It would work. It would work.
Yeah.
It's fine. But Weber has a 22-inch. It just came out with the 22-inch carbon steel griddle for the Weber.
Okay.
Which would fit on the Huntsman as well.
Well, maybe I'll have a look at that too.
And it would take up the whole thing. And I forget what the heck the price of it was.
I'll look it up.
But it wasn't too. I think 139. I want to say.
That's not too bad.
So anyway,
dedicated griddle.
You can see I got them turned, and you can see I got a nice char. And then I flip them back over so I can put the cheese on them. I say you can see through the hole there that I've got pretty good fire stoked underneath that.
Right.
Thing. And I threw 2 pieces of cheese on each one and put the hi-hat over top of it. Let it
What
start
kind of cheese
melting.
were you using today?
I think it was the Kraft Melt.
Right.
And well, that picture was out of order. I thought I had them in order. Oh well. That picture should have been before
come
that.
earlier. Yeah.
Whatever.
There we
So
go.
then I put the buns on it. And let me preface this with, guys, if you're going to make this cook, I repeat, do not use brioche buns.
No.
Do not use brioche buns.
Brioche buns don't have enough body for hamburgers, in my opinion.
No, they do not. I need to tell you, I ended
Yeah,
up eating this thing with a knife and a fork.
yeah.
Do not
They
make that mistake.
as soon as you pick those things up, they mash flat, and
Oh, they just fell apart. They disintegrated.
for the same reason, it's hard to toast them because you'll mash them flat trying to do that too.
Well,
These
I
look
thought
good.
maybe if I put a little toast to it, it would hold
Yeah,
its shape. And I mean, you can see it's got a nice shape there. But as soon as you pick that puppy up
yeah,
and start eating on it,
right.
that bun splits. It's burgers going to the right, burgers going to the left. It was
Yeah.
not a pretty picture.
So
But the burger looks good on the
did you
plate.
use any seasoning or anything?
Yeah, I used the Lane's SPG.
Okay.
I had thought about changing it up this time and using the Myron Mixon uh, Wild Game, which is a very
Right.
good seasoning. I really like that one as well.
So what's your opinion on this overall?
Well, overall, everybody in my family likes the burger.
Yeah.
It's a good tasting burger. Uh, Jeffrey and I agreed brioche buns. No, not happening. You
Yeah.
need the potato bun to give it that hold together power.
Yep.
But it's a good tasting bun. I mean, I'm
The
not going to say
brioche
that there's
buns are
any one.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that there's any one hamburger that I prefer over another hamburger because some of my favorites are, like Swiss mushroom with
Oh
grilled
yeah.
onions.
That's one of
That
my favorites also, the mushroom
that's
and
a good
Swiss.
one.
Yeah.
Turn it into a patty melt on rye bread is,
Mhm.
is another good one.
Hardee's has a mushroom and Swiss burger that I like, and so does Hardee's. I
Steak
guess
and Shake has
Carl's.
the best one.
I've not had it there. Carl's Jr. would have the same thing that Hardee's has. So,
Yeah.
um, Culver's has a good mushroom and Swiss also. I've
Yep.
discovered
Well, it's
we've
it's
got a
about the
Culver's
same
here.
as Freddy's
Yeah,
mushroom and cheeseburger.
right.
But no, I say it's a good burger. I'm not going to say it's the best burger that I've ever had, but
I'm gonna have Tanya look up something for me while she's in the background. Tanya, can you hear me back there? Give me a thumbs up. Will you look and find out if that Whataburger in Hickory's open yet? We've got a Whataburger that's getting ready to open here if it's not already open, and I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, I think brioche where where a brioche bun would thrive would be a ham and cheese, a hot ham and
yep,
Swiss. That would
a
be a
hot ham
good
and Swiss or a fried
yeah,
egg sandwich. Uh,
right.
yeah, it would be great for that. But on a burger, like I
Heck yeah,
said, it was a freaking
a
disaster.
bacon, egg, and cheese. A breakfast
Yep.
sandwich. That would be
Or
perfect
I
for
prefer ham,
brioche.
egg, and cheese for
Yeah,
my
either
breakfast
way,
sandwich.
that would be a definitely a good use for that. So
But like I said, the burger came out good, came out just as good as last week. So
yeah,
basically, I did the identical. I stuck with the traditional Oklahoma onion, and it came out good. But like I say,
well,
I don't think you can say that any one burger is better than another, and the the opinions on what's the best burger is probably as diversified as the opinion on what the best lump is.
oh heck yeah, burgers are personal. That's
Yep.
why everybody's got their favorite. And that's what you and I before the live stream we were talking about one of my favorite burgers, which is called the Carolina burger, and
I
we'll
gotta
talk
try that.
about
That sounds good. I've just never
we'll
had
talk
that.
about that a little bit more after we go through my Oklahoma burger because I might want to do another. I might do a burger again in the near future and do that one because it's my favorite one. But this week I stuck more to the proper guns of getting this burger done the way it was intended to be. And
I
when
see you
Tanya,
found the Arnold Potato.
yeah, when Tanya and I were at Publix uh, earlier this week, I found these and I tossed them in her cart. And I said, that's the bun I need to make this burger with. So that's where I started. And when I went to get some ground beef, instead of getting ground chuck, Food Line had this 93.7 on sale at 4.55 a pound, which is really a good buy. So I decided I was going to use the leaner ground beef this time. And what I did to compensate for that, I'll show you here in a minute. I weighed out the 3-ounce patties once again because that's about where I like to be on a smash burger is 3 ounces. It works with what I'm doing. I think that's about the right amount for me. So I made 4 of those to make 2 double burgers with. And once again, I using the same knife you're using. And, I've got some see-through onion slices here today.
That Kramer does a beautiful job on those onions, doesn't it?
And Jeff, how long? You know how long I've had this knife now? It's been
longer than mine.
I haven't put that knife through a sharpener yet.
Either have I.
I hit mine with the steel every time I pull it out of the block, like I do any other knife, and that thing's still holding an edge.
Well, that's why I prefer that type of steel over the Damascus, over stainless.
Right.
It will dull quicker, but you don't have to sharpen it. All you have to do is throw it on the steel and put the edge back on it, and you're good to go.
Right. But this is I couldn't get my mandolin to slice onions anywhere near that thin. So last week I had onions a lot thicker, and this is more along where you need to be for this process. So
and actually they came out better cutting them in half. You didn't have that burger out to here and still have a string of onion in your mouth and on the burger.
So I cut up a whole onion that way, and I used most of it. I didn't use all of it, but I used a good bit of it. So I fired my griddle up, and I melted a little butter on one side because I wanted to toast the inside of my buns because, in my opinion, that's something that needs to happen to any burger. There's no reason ever that I don't want to do that when I'm cooking burgers, and this is what those should look like when they're done. That's about as good as it gets. I mean, you could critique that all you want, I guess, but that's perfect. That's how perfect. I like it.
Next time, try mayonnaise on it instead of butter.
Well, I've done it both ways, but I don't know that it. I really don't know that it makes a discernible difference in this context. The Duke's mayonnaise, I don't think the flavor of either method is coming out in the burger itself. So, but that's what I want my hamburger buns to look like, and that's as perfect as I would ever hope for on that. So I smashed out my burgers, but since I was using lean ground beef, I spread out a little avocado oil on my griddle and let it get hot before I pressed my burgers down. And I seasoned these guys with a little bit of this Killer Hogs AP seasoning that I bought a while back, just to season the meat a little bit. Then I put my onions down, and I didn't bother and press the onions into the burger. I guess I probably could have. I don't know how much difference.
I don't think that makes a big difference. Other than when you flip the burger, it gives you a little bit of the burger up top to get a sear on it, as opposed to just the onions cooking.
Yeah. So I just domed that guy for a little while and my griddle's not running nearly as hot as Jeff's. My griddle was probably about 450 or 475 when I put those burgers down. So I had time there where I could dome those and let those onions start to cook. And then I flipped them, and I probably could have let mine stay a little bit longer. I didn't get as much crust as I normally get, and I accidentally scraped the crust off of a good bit of that one. But I let these guys stay upside down for quite a while, and I had some sliced Gruyere. We went with Gruyere this time around at Tanya's choice rather than American cheese. She didn't like my Velveeta from last week, and we had decided that we weren't going to use Velveeta again, or for her anyway. And when I went to the grocery store yesterday to get the rest of the stuff I needed to cook these, I forgot to get the Kraft singles, and I called Tanya before I went back up there to ask her what kind of cheese she wanted, and she says we're going to use some of this sliced Gruyere that she already had. So I tossed that on there, and let it melt to about where you see right here, which was good enough for me. Those were fairly thin slices. I didn't overpower these with cheese. Not that you shouldn't do that. I think that more cheese is better in just about every case. But then I loaded those guys up on the toasted buns, and the onions that I had that had fallen off during the process of moving them over here. I just tossed them on top, and I put my dill pickles on mine because that's just something I like. And I plated these guys up. And I guess what we need to do immediately here is, instead of hearing what I think about it, let's find out what Tanya thought about these burgers. So, Tanya,
Hey.
what did you think about these?
Well, they were better than the last ones.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know.
She and I have about the same opinion, I think, on this burger. I'm not in love with it. It's not bad.
Here's the thing, John. It's got everything going for it. I mean, look, we've got some great cheese on there. We have got some fantastic onions, and God knows I love a good onion, especially when it's cooked. It's a burger. It's on a potato bun. This should be like fantastic, right? But it's just kind of not. So I don't know.
I think there's a lot of things that can change on this method. The fact that we use Gruyere, one of the things that I think I mentioned it to Stephen Hickey or somebody we were talking about, or maybe it was Jeff. I don't remember who I was talking to about it now, was turning this into just a full-blown French onion burger.
Now, you talked to Stephen Hickey on that.
And fully
That's what he thought you were doing
onions
last week was kind of a French onion burger.
Well, if I had fully caramelized those onions, through a several hour long process to really turn them dark with caramelization and make this into a burger like that, with even more cheese on it, it might have been something that I liked
to do that though, John. I would change the meat, and I would get me a ground brisket to do for my burgers, because I think a ground brisket burger with onions made like you would for French onion soup, I think that would be totally awesome.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to pursue this one again. I appreciate it for what it is. I appreciate
it's a good burger.
That it's a regional style. That it's well loved by a lot of people.
It's good. Yeah.
As you and I talked, prior to the podcast, burgers are it's your individual choice as to what your jam is, for lack of a better word. I've had a lot of different burgers. I've had fried eggs on burgers, which to me really adds something to a burger, that yolk melting down on the burger patty. But there's a lot of good burgers. I'm not going to say I really don't have this is my favorite burger. It's whatever I have a taste for in the burger. As I've had, I say the patty melt burger, the Swiss and mushroom burger, onion burgers, that chili burger that you were talking about. I've never had that. That sounds interesting. I think we need to pursue that one
here, because that's my favorite burger, and it's called a Carolina chili cheeseburger. Or around here, it's just called a Carolina burger.
Classic.
The Carolina Wendy's sold some under the Carolina Classic name around here for a while, but this is a burger I grew up eating, and I love it. It's you could make the smash burger form of it, and what it is it's a cheeseburger or a double cheeseburger that's got chili, coleslaw, a sweet coleslaw, kind of like
that's the interesting part right there
that you might find at KFC. It's got that kind of coleslaw, optional onions and pickles and mustard. That's my favorite kind of burger right there. So maybe we can talk about burgers again closer to Memorial Day when grilling season starts back.
Yeah, because I haven't started up my grills yet. It's not
Yeah,
Memorial season yet.
Memorial Day
I
we'll be able to
cleaned
start.
I cleaned the connected Joe the other day and tightened up the bands.
Yeah, maybe we can start grilling again towards the end of May when grilling season starts back. But uh, I will introduce you guys to the Carolina burger. Uh, I need to make another batch of my homemade condiment chili, which I'm currently out of. You don't have to make homemade chili if you're happy with canned chili. And on these burgers, quite frankly, that Hormel canned chili or the
Castleberry.
yeah, or the Texas Pete or what that chili that comes in cans that you might buy to put on a hot dog or something.
Yeah.
That's good on these. You don't have to go homemade, but I'll make the homemade because that's what Tanya will like.
Yes, please.
And when I do that, I'll document it. I think I've made somewhere in my collection. There's a video on that. It's in a video somewhere, and
Now
it's
that chili
probably
doesn't have beans in it, right? It's just meat chili.
no, right. It's a
Okay.
condiment chili. It's not designed to be a meal chili. It's a chili for nachos, hot dogs, and hamburgers. That's
Yeah.
this kind of chili. So I'll document that again and repost the recipe for it when we do. But that's something I'd like to revisit, and we'll talk about the Carolina chili cheeseburger because, like I said, it's my personal favorite burger. And beyond that, I'm a big fan of the mushroom Swiss burgers, so I might do that at some point also because the Griddle's a perfect place to cook down mushrooms to go on a burger
Yep.
as well. So mushrooms and Swiss cheese, and that just makes a good burger. So,
So let's talk griddles here, John, for a second.
yep.
I'm looking at the slate.
Mm-hmm.
The 30-inch slate is $7.99. The 36-inch slate is $9.99. Is that extra
Right.
6 inches for $200 worth it?
No, I wouldn't think so. I don't know how to put a price on that different amount of real estate.
So I don't know that I need 36 inches of real estate.
Well, mine is 30 inches. My Traeger griddle's a 30-inch griddle top, and I haven't felt confined by it. And to give you an idea of what I can get on there, I cooked on multiple occasions. I've cooked 12 chicken breasts on it, but my chicken breast, before I throw a chicken breast on the griddle, I've pounded it out.
Mm-hmm.
Where my chicken breast has got a lot bigger footprint on it before it goes on the griddle than it did in the package. I pound them down to where they're less than half of their original thickness where they cook quicker. And I've got that extra surface area to get that char on and that caramelization that I get.
How many burners do you have on the Traeger?
Burners.
Burners.
Well, it's 3 burners.
3 burners. That's what the 30-inch has. The 36 has 4.
But these burners aren't like your typical single burners. These burners are U-shaped.
Right.
So they're this wide, and there's 3 of them. But one of the things that's different about mine is there's baffles between each burner that go all the way up kind of the bottom of the grill surface, mm-hmm. where it helps you have true heat zones. And this particular, that was one of the big selling points for me on the Traeger. And if you get a chance, Jeff, if you can go somewhere where they have a Traeger where you can look at it, it's in the middle of what you're looking at. It's an $8.99 unless it's gone up. Mm-hmm. The Traeger is $100 more than the low end Weber and $100 less than the high end one. Like I said, unless they've gone up. I paid $8.99 for mine when I bought it. So
yeah, because from what I can see on the slate, it looks like it's just the regular tube burners.
Right. The only drawback on that is it might take it slightly longer to heat up.
Mm-hmm. This griddle that I was looking at, it had like figure 8 burners. Have you ever seen that one?
Is that the Halo?
I don't remember which one it was now.
The Halo's the one that breaks down into where it's got 8 burners after everything's said and done. it's got 4 burners that you can turn on half. Each one of them can come on in a half burner configuration.
Maybe that's why it's the figure 8.
Yeah.
The thing that I like about the Slate is I can get it in natural gas if I want to go
right.
that route.
That's true. But I remember you saying that. Now there's not a lot of these out there that give you that option. So if that's a requirement, that Slate would probably be your best
it's not a requirement, but I mean, if I've got natural gas coming to the house,
right?
I say less than 15 feet away, I've got the gas for the fireplace that I can tap into to bring around for the griddle. Kind of makes sense to me, cost effective wise, not have to ever worry about running down to get propane.
Right. Well, my griddle is probably the most gas efficient gas device that I've got. I don't know. It seems to run a really long time on a full cylinder. But I don't mind taking mine to get them filled up when they need it. That's why I'll keep 2 cylinders here, and what I try to do is run one of them completely out before I get it filled up. And that way I'm not ever caught with 2 empties. So I don't know.
So I'm going to go down and look at one of the Slates. I got it at the Ace Hardware store here in town.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see where I can.
I enjoy cooking on it. It's just such a versatile cooking surface. It's not a fire surface, obviously, but
but you can do a lot with it. You can do your grilled cheeses. You can do fried rice.
You can do a whole griddle full of bacon. Oddly enough, I couldn't get as much bacon on there as I really thought I could get on there. I got 30-inch griddle, but that pretty much. I guess if you set your bacon where it's touching, you could get a pack and a half of bacon on it. So maybe. I've cooked a whole pack of bacon on that griddle multiple times, so I know it's doable. But I hope you get one. I'm looking forward to seeing you get one. We can do some stuff here. I'm curious about how many of our audience here has griddles. If you've got a griddle, let me know if you have one or not. I'll run a question on the Man Cave Meals page at some point and see how many in our audience have griddles. I don't know who does and doesn't. I know a few people that do, but I've really enjoyed having this one. I didn't get into the griddle cooking so much until I got out of making video content so regularly because I wasn't in a situation where I had the time to do it. But now that I do, I've really enjoyed cooking on it. And when I bought that one, I did a lot of research on it. I did the same thing you're doing, Jeff. I looked at a lot of YouTube content and a lot of reviews and whatnot. And I was really surprised that I landed on the Traeger because Traeger had not been in this market space until recently. And a lot of people were asking the same question I asked is why would you go to a pellet grill company to get a griddle when there's other companies out there that have been making griddles for years? And the main thing is the feature set that I saw. And after I saw it, I went and looked at some people that had reviewed it. And one of the guys that I found that had reviewed it, I noticed that he's also making weekly video content on griddles, and he was favoring that griddle over everything else.
Tommy Serrano or whatever his name is up there in New Jersey.
Yeah,
I think he has the same griddle that you have. He just started another page called the Griddle King, I think.
Yeah. So, Stephen Hickey says he sold
the flat top king.
He's not in New Jersey. He's over in Tennessee.
Who? Tommy?
The Flat Top King. Or maybe it's not. Maybe that's not what he calls his channel.
No, it's not the Flat Top King. I got to look and see which one he's got.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been watching him, and he just got into doing a bunch of griddle.
Right.
I see that. I just saw I put up there. She's got the carbon steel griddle for the Big
Yeah.
Joe 3. That's
Yeah.
that's nice size right there. That's 24 inches of griddle.
Yep.
If I still had my Big Joe, that would be nice.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I'd have a hard time saying if I'd be a fan of the. I would be a fan of that griddle on the connected Joe, but I'm not so sure I would be a fan of it without the computer control. Uh, have you tried cooking on that griddle without the on the regular Kamado Joe, Jeff, without the fan?
No, but I've cooked on the connected without the fan going. I'll get the
Yeah.
fan going to start bringing it up to temp, and then I turn it off and open the vents and let her go that way.
Well, once again, the thing about griddle cooking is it doesn't. Most everything you're cooking on the griddle is done in less than 10 minutes, so you don't have to
Yep.
worry about having a whole lot of fuel. So
No, it's a very efficient cook because I mean you heat it up and you go and it's done.
I've gotten spoiled with having more space than I need with this Traeger because most of the time, like I said, I'll fire up all 3 sections of my griddle, and the middle one's the one I'm going to have hot, and I'm
Yep.
going to have the other 2 not hot where I can move stuff in and out of the heat easily. And on one side, I've got this little. It's like a cooling rack almost. It's a metal wire rack that sits on the griddle where I can set something off of the griddle up above it if I want to. That's
Keep
for
warm.
instance, that's where I would have set those toasted buns is just above the griddle where they stay warm but don't continue to cook. And there's a ton of accessories out there for these griddles that, and a lot of them you can get for one griddle. You can also use on another griddle. Most of my accessories are Blackstone if they have a brand name because Traeger accessories cost twice as much as everybody else.
I don't know that hi-hat, John, that I bought. That I was $24.99 for a 10-inch square hi-hat.
Yeah. But the Traeger griddle accessories that I looked at were just way high, and all the accessories.
And Loco is the same way. I went and looked at 2 squeeze bottles for Loco. They have a set of 2 squeeze bottles, $17.99 for 2 squeeze bottles. I went, what the hell?
That's crazy. Get a squeeze bottle at your local dollar store.
Yeah.
You don't need one with anybody's brand name on it. But I got all my accessories, or most of the accessories that I'm using came from Walmart, and they have the Blackstone brand. I'm guilty also of buying accessories that I didn't need. I didn't take my own. I always tell people don't buy accessories till you know why you need it. Well, I had bought some of these accessories even before I bought the griddle, and a lot of them have sat here and collected dust. I didn't need them. I shouldn't have bought them. So the
only thing that I would buy as an accessory for the griddle is 3 items: a squeeze bottle, a hi-hat, and a big putty knife.
What's a hi-hat? The dome.
The dome hood.
Okay, yeah, get that. You're gonna want a couple other things. You're gonna want a spatula, a couple of spatulas,
I already got 2 spatulas that are just perfect. I wish I could find you, if I could ever find you a carbon steel spatula like I've got.
Yeah.
That one that I showed you that will cut paper. I would love to find one of those for you because you would just love the shit. That is a great spatula.
I've got a scraper that I use when I'm cleaning the griddle. It's like a flat. It's like a bench knife with a handle on it. A bench, and I use it when I'm cleaning the griddle up, when I'm scraping all the food debris. And my griddle, the seasoning on my griddle is so perfect that all I do basically when I'm finished cooking is scrape all the solid debris off into the well, and I'll have my water bottle out there. You're going to need multiple squeeze bottles also because you're going to want some with oil in them as well. But
I have those. I got one for oil and one for water.
I hit it with water, and then I take a towel, these old dish towels that I use between 2 tongs, and run them just back and forth over that. And a lot of times I don't even oil it. Most times I'm done after I've done it with the steam
That's pretty
towel.
much the way I do with the carbon
And
steel. I haven't put oil on that thing, and I can't tell you how long. Nothing sticks to it.
Every third or fourth cook or fifth cook, maybe, I'll put a quarter of a cup or a third of a cup of avocado oil down, and I'll spread it all over the surface of the griddle. And then I'll get another towel with the spatula and just buff all of it off I can and run the heat high until that oil starts to smoke. And then I shut it down. And let's do that, like I said, maybe every 5 cooks. And the thing, nothing sticks to this griddle. Everything cleans up super easy. I never have to scrape anything off of it.
Well, I'm used to the restaurant style griddles, which is a stainless steel griddle, and you use the old lava rock on it, the pumice stone.
Right. Yeah.
And those things clean up so nice. I mean, they look brand new after you're through with them, and nothing sticks to those things.
You'll see those lava rock those scrapers like that available for these griddles, but I've never used one on mine. I would be afraid that would take my seasoning off, and you're not collecting a seasoning. Yeah, you're not collecting a seasoning on a stainless steel griddle, so it's but it works. My seasoning's so good on this thing. One night, a couple of weeks ago, I cooked on it, and mine, you're not supposed to close the lid. You're not supposed to cook with the lid down, and you're not supposed to put the lid down on it until it's cooled adequately. And I had cooked on it one night and left the lid up on it and forgot to go back out there and shut it, and it got rained on that night. And luckily, I have no signs of rust anywhere. It got rained on, but what I did was I just lifted my griddle off and dumped the water out of it that had collected in it, because my griddle's not perfectly flat. The liquid will run down to one side of it the way I currently have it sitting on my deck. But I dumped it off. I buffed it off with a towel, and then I just fired it up and let the heat evaporate the rest of the water off of it. Yeah, no rust. And then I closed it up, and everything was good to go. But a lot of folks I see, when they buy these things initially, they get obsessed with seasoning it, and they'll end up with too much seasoning on it, and that's as bad as not having any seasoning at all. It gunks up on there. That's
where I think a lot of people go awry when they're seasoning griddles or seasoning cast iron. Like, there was some guy that just posted, and you could see where he had over seasoned it, and the grease had caked up and kind of went white.
It makes a goopy, nasty mess.
Yeah, man. Like for my wok, I bet you I don't put a quarter size. When I'm pouring the oil in to season it, I bet I don't go over a quarter size to season that whole big wok. I mean, just put it on there, wipe it down, continue to wipe until it's not pulling up any more of the oil.
I have a different method for those carbon steel items, but for the cast iron and for this griddle, when I put the oil on there, I take a clean rag and buff as much of it off as I can get before I put the heat to it. You want to get all of that. All you need is that micro fine sheen of that oil, and then let the heat do the rest of the work. You want to smoke it off at that point. And you're not looking for a buildup on there. If you've got a buildup, it's no good. So anyway,
I think it also causes your food to taste funny.
Yep. Anthony, glad you could make it tonight. He's checking in from his kid's high school musical.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. But anyway, next Thursday will be the first Thursday of the month. Did we give the heads up on what we were?
No, I think we need to. I think we did give the heads up on the sauce and the rub. Yes, we did.
Okay,
but so I think bring it up again.
Next week we're gonna let me find pictures of the.
Hey, I got it. I got it right here.
Okay, we're gonna be using. Jeff and I are gonna cook beef ribs next week, and we're going to use Lane's SPG or the sauce that we're going to deal with next week is the Franklin's Original Barbecue Sauce, which both of us got that through Walmart. I was able to pick it up at my local Walmart, and Jeff was able to order it through his. And then we're just going to use Lane's SPG on that. And actually, the one other thing I was going to show you guys to wrap this up. This month we did the Blues Hog sauce, and we did the Simply Marvelous Cherry. I cooked a butt last night. This is that butt I was telling you about I got from Food Line, and I seasoned
that is a fine looking butt.
Yeah, I seasoned that guy with the Simply Marvelous, and that's how much I put on there. I maybe didn't put quite as much rub on this as I normally do on a pork butt, but I use mayonnaise as a binder, a thin layer of mayonnaise. That's what I normally do, and I scored the top of it, and I tossed this guy on the Lone Star and let it go overnight. And this is about what this guy was looking like before I wrapped it, and it's just perfect. That Simply Marvelous Cherry puts an amazing.
So, what temperature did you cook that on, John? Did you go to 200?
Well, it went for 12 hours at 200, and then I ramped it up.
That is our
ideal
method.
3. Yeah. I ramped it up to 300 at the 12-hour mark, and then when the bark was like, you're looking at it here at about 13 hours, or 12 and a half to 13 hours. I was pretty happy with where I am on that bark right there, so I foiled it at that point. I wrapped it up, and that's a picture at the same time. I had just pulled the temperature probe out of it because I was getting ready to lift it off of there and put it in some foil and put it back in. So I didn't take pictures of it when I pulled it. I've already got that guy pulled and put in vacuum seal bags. So that's
now, what size? What weight do you do on your bags, or are you just doing it by the cup?
I put 1 cup of pulled pork barbecue in the bag. That's 1 cup's a pretty decent serving, individual serving. It's more than you need for a sandwich is the problem. What I need to figure out the weight of what's going to go on a sandwich, because 1 cup is too much for a sandwich. And a lot of times I like to just heat up enough to make a sandwich with. Like, I'm probably going to have a barbecue sandwich for lunch tomorrow since I've got hamburger buns left over that I don't have a game plan for.
I need to figure that out too, because I got all those small bags. That'd be ideal, to do individual bags of pulled pork.
Well, here's another thing I was telling Tanya today. Since I've been using, as of today, I am out of 8x10 chamber sealer bags, which means I have used 2,000 8x10 bags, and that's not the only size bag I use. So I've been through 2,000 8x10 bags.
I'm just about there with you.
Since I started using a chamber sealer, I've been through.
Now, wait, John, just back up a second. You say since you started using the chamber sealer, are you referring to the chamber sealer that you gave me, or your new chamber sealer?
Well, actually, it was before the one I gave you too, because I had that wasn't the first chamber sealer I got.
Okay, because I've just about been through 2,000 8x10 bags in the one that you gave me.
Yeah, you're doing a lot more. You're using it a lot more than I am then.
Well, some of the bags that I'm using, the 8x10s, it's overkill. But the smaller bag, it wouldn't fit in. So
I think.
But the nice thing about it is I can cut it open and I can reseal it.
What I think I'm going to do is I've been using 3 different size bags. I've been using 6x8s, 8x10s, and 10x12s. And I think I'm going to go to JVR's website because I can buy odd size bags from them. I think I'm going to stop using 8x10s, and I'm probably going to use 10x10s and just try to consolidate mostly to one size bag. And I might keep a handful of 10x12s or 10x13s available for those rare occasions where I need a bigger one.
Yeah, the bag that I've got is the big bag is the 10x13.
Yeah.
And I'm down to about 50 of those, and I ordered 1,000. So
I don't use that many of the larger bags. I don't use the larger ones that often at all. But I think what I'm going to do is just try to consolidate to a 10 by 10, and we'll see how that works out. I don't want to have to. I don't want
Well,
to get a bunch
see,
of multiple size bags.
I use them for the 10 by 13s. I use for the beef ribs. I use it for the pork tenderloins.
Yep.
Um, but like I say, it's
Well,
an overkill for the pork tenderloin because you throw one pork tenderloin in there, you got a whole bunch of bag to the side, but it's the length. If you could get like
well,
a 6 by 13 bag, that'd probably be perfect for a
well.
tenderloin, or a 4 by 13 bag.
You can get 10 by 30. You need to go to JVR's website because
That's where I've been
you can
buying
get
stuff.
you can get all these odd sizes from them. But I'm going to when I need something bigger, I've still got my food saver that I can
Mm.
uh, I can work with if necessary. I haven't gotten rid of that, but I'm going to. It's like these. It's like I'm going to have to make sure I've got a way to deal with those ribs that I'm going to buy. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to go. I'm hopefully to go get the ribs tomorrow, but I'm going to
Yeah.
have to buy 2 racks of those ribs, and I'm not going to cook but one of them, and
Well,
I'm going to
I
need
say
to
on the
vacuum
ribs, I have
seal
to
it.
cut them down. The beef ribs, I have to cut them down to 2 rib
Yeah,
portions, which is a meal in itself. So,
right.
but that's the
All
only way I
right.
can get them in the bag.
Well, so we're going to wrap up then because we're right at our hour mark, and I'm tired. So uh, we'll be back next week where Jeff and I will be showing you some hopefully really nice looking smoked beef ribs
Should
using
be.
that Lane salt, pepper, garlic.
I'm a little concerned with the sauce, though, John. I haven't tasted
Right.
the sauce, but I was reading some of the online comments on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it.
Well,
Did you taste the sauce yet?
I haven't opened it yet.
I haven't opened mine yet either. Would you use avocado oil on the griddle, I guess? He's asking you.
Yeah, that's what I used. That's what I use on the griddle. I don't use it exclusively, but that's what I used yesterday when I cooked those burgers. Avocado oil is a pretty it's as good a high heat oil as any of them. Uh, I don't use olive oil on the griddle unless I'm working at lower temperatures. I wouldn't hesitate to use olive oil for some things, but olive oil's got a lower smoke point than some of these others. I typically use I keep avocado oil on hand for the griddle, and I don't buy expensive avocado oil either. There's no point in that. So
Get the 1 gallon of butter flavored liquid alternative.
I've got some bacon up that I've used on that griddle before.
Yep.
Uh, Beef tallow is also a great thing to use on the
Yep.
griddle if you've got it handy. Beef tallow is a great fat for the griddle.
High heat.
Yep. Boater, yep. Glad you can make it with us tonight. So next week we're gonna have a look at some beef ribs. I'm gonna have to sort my schedule out for that next week because I enjoy days where I'm cooking beef ribs because beef ribs are usually a 6 to 7 hour cook for me because I don't know what I'm going to cook on. I don't know if I'm going to cook them on the Huntsman or if I'm going to cook them on the Lone Star.
I've done 2 sets on the Huntsman, and they've come out fantastic.
I might just cook
That's
them on the
good.
Kamado. I might cook them on the Kamado Joe simply because I haven't cooked on the Joe lately.
I can't tell
I've
you last time I fired up the 3.
yeah,
Or I should say
I've got a
the classic 3, I should say.
I've got a new piece of equipment that I need to test out that I need to put on the Classic 2 that I have. I got this replacement, this rack system that I want to try out in the Kamado Joe, but it won't work in the 3, but it'll work in the 2 supposedly. So um,
Cool.
more on that later. No, none of y'all are going to be interested in that. It's a third party rack system for a big green egg, but it just so happens that it will work in the Classic and the Classic 2 Kamado Joe as well. And I was able to get it for nothing, so I've got one. And I'm gonna play with it. So maybe I'll show that to you at some point also. All right, y'all, I appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll see you again same time next week.